Good day to everybody. One of the things that we cherish in our life and in our family is to have a good health. Good health is God's grace and blessing for all of us. And in this episode that we are going to talk about it, we are going to talk generally about the health of people. Some terms we need to define when we are talking about health and disease. When a person has got a cold, he has runny nose, he has sore throat, he has got fever, he goes to the doctor. And the person does not know what the diagnosis is. So when a person suffers from symptoms, and it is called as a illness. And when you go to the doctor and the doctor examines you and he decides to give a diagnosis, maybe he says that you have got sinusitis and he will make a diagnosis of sinusitis. And when you have this diagnosis of sinusitis, which is a label given by a medical person, then you have a disease. So this is a basic difference between illness and disease. So when you say illness is what the patient suffers from, disease is the label which the doctor gives to the patient. So next thing that you have always talk about it is pain. And what is pain? Is a physical unease that the person feels. When you say a patient is suffering, you say it also includes the psychological components that go with pain, and they may be not having physical pain, but they may be having psychological pain. And next question that always people ask is, why does a disease occur? Now, to make it simple, there are three factors that need to be there for a person to develop disease. One is the host, that is the person himself. He or she should have the genes for the disease. Second is an agent, that is something should cause the disease. And third is the environment. I would like to give you an example of malaria fever. Malaria is caused by an organism called Plasmodium, which is a protozoa. And for the spread of malaria, you require mosquitoes, which are important for spreading the disease. Then you have the host. Now in Bangalore, you will see we have so much of mosquitoes, but you will never hear a Bangalorean being diagnosed with malaria. That is because at this height and this temperature, the malaria parasite cannot live. So that is why in Bangalore you do not see malaria. You go down to Mangalore, where malaria is common, and you will see in some families which will always have malaria. There are some families, though they have the same environment, the same water, same sources, will not have the disease. And this is because there is something genetic in these patients that will make them develop this illness. So when all these three occur, only then disease occurs. I gave an example of malaria. For other diseases, we know only bits and pieces. We do not know the whole thing what causes disease. For example, in diabetes, if both the parents are having diabetes, then the chance the child will have disease is about 50%. And we do not know what triggers the diabetes in the patient. So whenever disease occurs, these 3 points have to be taken into account. The host, the environment, and agent that is present. The only time that these three do not come is when you meet with an accident. So there is no these three causation present when you meet with an accident. But for every other disease, we have one of these, all three have to be present. And this very often as lay people will ask, why did I get this disease? How did I get this disease? And to understand that, you have to answer these questions. The second point that you want to do as a layperson is, there is a relationship between mind and body, especially in diseases. You have on one side, the commonest reason why patients come to a doctor is because of pain. The patient has a bone broken. The pain is 100% physical. There is no psychological dimensions to it. On the other hand, we go to a psychiatric ward and see there is always a patient running around screaming with pain, but you examine him by all means, there is no cause found for pain. And here the pain is 100% psychological. So all of us, when we fall sick, we have physical problems, we also have psychological problems. And as doctors, we need to address both And as families, we need to address care. When we talk about the healthcare, there are three major people who play in the healthcare. One is the patient himself or herself who has the disease, who comes there, and the doctor brings his technical knowledge for treatment of the patient. Doctor knows what the diagnosis is, what treatment to give, and what medicine to be given, and what the chances of recovery. But it is not just doctor and patient who will make decisions. And we also have a family which has to take care, which will make decisions. And in our Indian context, families make major decisions more than the patients. So it is important that we know something about how we can handle patients we have. And finally, there is also a spiritual element. The patient questions himself and says, why has this happened to me?